Okay, well, welcome everyone. Thank you for obviously arriving here in the members area. Now, I'm grateful to have Paul Dunn joining us from B1G1. How are you today, Paul?
Dan, well, you said you're grateful. I'm very privileged to be joining you. So thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. Very good fit. Now, the purpose of today, everyone, is to get an understanding of how you can implement B1G1 into your business model so you can be having more impact on the world. There's one thing just to go about making money from your business, which is fine to do so, but we're very of the opinion that attaching impact and positive impact on the world, not just negative impact or any impact on the world, is very, very crucial. So Paul set up with an amazing team, a great platform, which we're going to showcase today. And the sort of main sort of topics we'll cover is for any consultant or coach or potentially in your mastermind groups, how you can apply these methods. If you are consulting, or which most of you are viewing this consulting to businesses, it's definitely an opportunity and something to consider for the relevant or suitable businesses, and any business is suitable for this, I should say, to potentially integrate impact into their business models. And then lastly, we'll follow up on how potentially if you've got a community or a platform that you're running, how you can maybe get more engagement and more feeling of gratitude and just engagement in general and impact within your platform community as well. So ultimately, Paul, I think it would be great for you to introduce yourself.
Sounds like a great plan. Yeah, sounds like a great plan. Yeah.
Over to you, mate. Now you got the
well, mic. Hopefully, well, thank you. Yeah, thank you. And again, great to be here. This is what I hope is going to be one of those moments. All of us have moments, right? Which do interesting things in relation to our outcomes. And for me, I just got very, very lucky, I guess, that I got to co-found this really, really awesome initiative called B1G1. And B1G1 does things quite differently. I mean, Dan mentioned, the whole giving thing and everything else. And typically when we think of giving, we think of, XYZ corporation or company proudly supports ABC charity somewhere. In B1G1, it's quite different than that, because when we started this, we imagined a world which was like this. This is exactly how we imagined it. We said, what if we could create a world where every time business was done, something great happened? Now, you might want to pause for a minute and just think about the magnitude of what I just said. Sounds very simple, right? But let me give you an example of it. For example, as Dan knows, many of the people in the B1G1 movement or community around the world do things like this. Whenever I send an email, a child gets access to education. It could be as simple as when someone joins us on a Zoom meeting, 11 kids get access to water. It could be we plant some trees. It could be we protect people from sex trafficking. It could be anything, in fact. 471 really high impact and vetted projects around the world that you can link your activities to. And a couple of other things that I think are really interesting. A lot of times we think, oh, I'll start giving when I'm successful. Well, that's not what this is about, because your giving can be just from 1 cent. Yes, you heard that correctly, from 1 cent. And when you give, no excuse, exactly. And so giving becomes a part of the journey, right? And by the way, 100% of your giving flows to where you want it to go. And talking of flow, as you may see later on, we track every single solitary cent of your giving, and we give you the ability to very simply pop that on your websites and so on. And as Dan mentioned earlier on, we make it very easy for you to connect with your customers and your prospects in brand new ways. But I think overall, is how Dan came to this really was that we get a moment, going back to that thing called moment again, where we think, you know what, we're doing great in business, but what if we could give back is frequently the word that's used, right? And so I think while B1G1 is all about connection, I think the most important connection is to each of us individually. So B1G1 gives you that. It gives you that sense of meaning and this great feeling of knowing that every time you do whatever it is you choose to do, and you can have multiple ones of these, something great is happening. So there's a context for you, Dan, and you know, I hope that's a good context for everyone.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think important to note as well for anyone that you can definitely align this with what's close to your business model and your personal to your heart with the SDGs. Now ours as well, Paul, just to be clear, we found it hard because we do actually as a platform want to enable a lot of other people to extend on the impact and choose what they want. From our point of view, it's really SDG8 with the inclusive nature with what's going on with converging exponential technologies and making sure people have access to that abundance of opportunities. And SDG11, which we've talked about, where if anyone has a particular project, Paul, you do have a stringent vetting process. It's not like you can just list whatever you want, but you know, a big part of our mission moving forward is to build smart and sustainable affordable housing projects around the world, and hopefully one day over the next year or so, we'll have some pilot programs up ready to, I mean, it's $5,000 to 3D print a 2-bedroom home and put a family in a home. So later on, we'll talk about that. But for the use case, I think what we were going to do, just as an example with the consultancy and coaching everyone, is we were I felt that, you know, the process that we usually take our clients through is to make sure any client that you have, whether you're coaching or consulting or even mastermind, they can get to know, like, and trust you and understand what you're about. And attaching this impact that it's not just about money is definitely important. But ultimately, if they were to sign up for a free access to a members area, which was what we suggest our clients to do for that know, like, and trust factor, we're going to use that as the case study for this in terms of how you're going to attach and technically impact through the B1G1 platform. So Paul's going to showcase that, and then we'll keep the conversation flowing. So over to you, Paul.
That's great. That's great. Okay, well, let me jump into share screen mode and flip that up. I may need to do that as well. So let me just share my screen. And what we're going to go into, this is literally live, right? So
just one sec, Paul. I'm seeing your calendar.
I know what you're seeing. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Good.
It's live. And so what I want you to see is this right there, okay? So now you should be seeing my dashboard. Is that correct?
Correct.
You're seeing my dashboard there? Okay. And this is literally one of my accounts. And so I can see right here the number of impacts. By the way, the whole thing, as Dan has said, it's all about impacts. It's not about the money that you give. Straight away, I can see my favorite SDGs over here and project updates that we keep. And then I can also see, you know, some of the giving that I've been doing way down here. But let's do what Dan said. So I'm going to create what's called a giving story. This is the really simple way of doing it. Of course, what I could do is I can just go have a look at all of the projects, right? I can go over here and I can say, okay, I want to look at the projects that have something to do with, and I could pick, for example, I could pick SDG8, right? And all of those projects come up right there, and I can individually give to that. But the really simple way of doing it, because the great news is, you guys would love this, you can automate all of this, right? So we're going to create a giving story. So a giving story, and here you can see you just drag and drop. So all we need to do is create, you know, we make suggestions as to what's here, but you can just create a new activity. So we'll say when someone, when someone joins, how should we say it?
Someone signs up for free access, free membership area.
Signs up, there you go, for free access. Okay, hopefully my spelling is pretty good.
Yep.
So there we go. So we've now, and all we need to do now is just save that. So that becomes like a trigger, if you will, right? So there it is right here. So I'm just going to drag that up into there. So now I've got the trigger set up. And then over here, I've favorited a whole host of projects. You can have as many as you want. So let's just talk about the e-learning one as a, for example. That's one that happens to be one of my favorite projects. It's obviously not set up for this demo because Dan and I just got on Zoom, right? So here we go. So So now I get, okay, when someone signs up for free access, we give 1 day of access to e-learning to a child in India. Now we can, in fact, through the drop down here, we can say, look, we can do it for an entire school. I mean, get a look at that number. That's just amazing. Or we could do it for an entire year for that. So, you know, it's just amazing how this works. But let's just say, for the sake of discussion here, we say 1. I mean, we can obviously, you know, increase that right there. And then all we do is we simply add the giving story. And so if I now go to the actual sort of giving thing, there it is right there. Okay. And so all I would have to do if I was doing this manually, I would say, so someone, let's say someone doing it at the end of the day, and they said, oh, look, we had 7 people sign up today for the free access. So I'd put 7 in there and I'd simply add it to the giving cart. Now, if you were watching the screen very carefully, as I suspect you are because of what you do, you would have seen that there were already 2 items up there. So now in the giving cart, there are actually 3. So let's go have a look at the giving cart. So, you know, this is kind of like buying fantastic projects on Amazon, or buying food or whatever on Amazon, but it's actually fantastic projects that you buy, right? So let's have a look. Oh, it turns out that I've been doing a lot of this. Now, these are interesting, right? Now, because you remember I said that I actually do things on Zoom automatically. Now, I know this says manual here, but that's a little glitch in a new system. That would actually say automatic. And so that is literally tracking through Zapier. Now, you can do that through APIs, but through Zapier, it's just linking Zoom into this. And so, you know, and you can see that to do all, and this one is what we call a giving plan, which is kind of like your free access thing. And again, we're doing that automatically. Now, the same thing here is I've got the same project, but normally I would have masses upon masses of projects there. And then you just flip in and you proceed to pay. You pop in your credit card details. The system can obviously remember that. And let's just do it just for kicks. So I'm going to proceed to pay, and it says, okay, you'll notice it's a 501c3 that it's going to, and hopefully, there we go. And yes, we'll do it with that particular card right there. There you go. So that's now done. And fantastic. There you go. And there it is, right? So now I can you know, do all sorts of things with that. I can cut it. I can, as you'll see, I can pop it up on Facebook, on Insta, on LinkedIn, or whatever. You know, then I can flip back and see the total impacts that I've created to date as well. Now, interestingly enough, what I also can do, see this little share button up here, right? So what I also can do is I've got these impact widgets, and we can simply put these impact widgets, or you can directly. Now, this is again in real time. So, and you know, you might say, like, I don't like blue, in which case, you know, you can customize everything and customize the fonts and all those sorts of things, and customize how big it is and stuff. And then all you do in order to pop that on your website to track all of this is you just click embed and copy and paste. You get an iframe, bang. That will then turn up on your website. Yeah. The same thing is true with here we go. Here are the SDGs, right? And by the way, had I dropped down here quicker, you would have seen they are actually counting up. So those are not the SDGs that have been impacted in the entire platform. They are just or they would be your SDGs. And of course, you'll only see those ones that you've given to. So if I look up here, I've had someone get decent work and economic growth in there, bang, that's copied. And then again, I would just display it. And then down here, here, by the way, you'll see the impact of the total platform right now. And you can put this on the site if you wish as well, because it's embeddable, 223 million. And then what's really interesting is the giving map right here. Now, this is one of the reasons, Dan, as you know, that we love you selecting multiple projects. So, you know, you could have, and you can see how we talk about it. See, 19 hot drinks were given. You know, 114 meals were given, 75 meals were given, you know, Hopefully you can see all of that.
That's great, yeah.
And the reason that the multiple projects are really cool, so you might say, you know, this month we're all about whatever it is, right? And you select something or some things, and all of a sudden, if you imagine you having this on your website, and I'll show you in a minute how that works. Imagine the impact of that in terms of amplifying your presence. It's like, oh my gosh, look at, you know, Dan's impact. It's not just happening there on the Gold Coast. It's, you know, it's happening, you know, like everywhere. And again, that's just a matter of embedding the widget right there. So, and then if you were to want to have a look at that, Dan, let me just do this. Let me just flip. Can you see my Keynote screen right now?
Yeah.
Can you see that? I'm not sure. You can. Okay. So let me just flip across to Keynote. And okay, so here's an example. This is actually an accountant, because you can then create, the system allows you to create gratitude certificates. And we work with you to can you see that one, Dan? Right there,
yeah,
says well done.
Perfect.
And yeah, and we help you do that. So imagine, you know, you were in this particular case from the accountant, you were the client. This is the kind of connection thing that you would be able to do. And importantly, just to show you someone who has put all of those widgets into action. Typically, we recommend that you would have an impact page, or an impact tab, if you will. And the reason we like the word impact is because we know through A/B testing that people will click impact, right? And so here's an impact one. This is actually from a consultant in Sydney, Australia. So there you go. We go up to the impact tab. This is all free form because on a website. But now here come the embedded widgets. Look at the left-hand side. You see that going. And then if you direct your attention back to the map, you'll see what we were seeing before. And again, this is live and this is in real time. And then we just want to scroll down and have a look at the SDGs. Again, just for this particular B1G1 member, not for B1G1 as a whole. And you can see how that's working there. So Dan, that's one of the quickest kind of run-throughs I've ever done on B1G1, but I hope it kind of hits some things for you.
Yeah, well, I can just imagine myself seeing that screen you've got with the impacts that have been made and the feeling that you must have deep down inside with having that impact on the world. And I'm sure that gives you a great amount of pleasure, Paul. So, no, I think that's great. Now, on the automation front with Zapier, for anyone watching, there'll actually be a video below this, which I'll record when we're integrating it into our funnel, and you'll be able to replicate that into your funnel as well. Even the Zapier, we might even have the template there for you to be able to just we can share it with you and you can bolt it straight into your funnel. So ultimately, I think, yeah, that's great in terms of the use case for consultants and coaches. Don't forget, for any business, they can just, whether it's a Zoom call, sending an email, that's a use case as well with that automated webhook for impact. So the world's your oyster. Just get creative and think about some of your business processes or how you can help some of your clients maybe have a bit more culture and, you know, strengthen the values of that business as well and the team that are a part of that. The last part, I'm interested to hear whether there's any use cases as well, Paul, in terms of, you know, we have a plan to have character cards, which are ultimately providing that gratitude to people. So in terms of an online platform and people communicating, and someone might have done something courageous or, you know, been very visionary, for example, and there's a visionary card that's attached to that. We're partnering with ShareTree and utilizing their cards. And again, I think I've tried to introduce you guys. We'll have to follow up on that. But yeah, if there's any use cases or any feedback that you can provide on that.
There's zillion, I mean, that's obviously an exaggeration, but you know what I mean? There's a lot of use cases. I mean, we even have things like, because I got to tell you, the people joining us now, if they have kids, your kids will love this. And so we have cases where, for example, one particular case where this lady called Sylvia, she joined, she's actually a coach as well. And she joined and she tells the story of when she got home after joining, she told the family, oh, you know, I joined B1G1 and look what we can do. And she was telling her telling the family over dinner. And then she said to her 10-year-old, whose name is Daniel, funnily enough, she said, Daniel, it's your turn to do the dishwashing. And Daniel did what so many 10-year-olds do. It's like, Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then she picked up the app and said, "Oh, but then you can now link this." And so what Daniel has is a giving story which says, "Whenever I do the dishes, 10 kids get access to pure life-saving water."
That's
And
phenomenal.
Sylvia did that on the when did she do that? On the 6th of March, 2020. And she was telling me recently that she's never had any trouble with Daniel doing the dishwashing since, right? So, so there's so many use cases. Sometimes, when you promise something to somebody, you commit to some sort of deadline, and for whatever reason, you miss the deadline. Okay, well, use those gratitude certificates that I showed you. Remember that thing that said, "Well done," the thing that, just use that, just use those. And because you can make those say whatever you want. And effectively you can create a use case for the gratitude certificate as well, if that makes sense. So
definitely, yeah.
The whole thing can flow through, and you can do, seriously wonderful things. And, people do it for birthdays, for sometimes when they, as I said, when they goof, if you will. So there's so many, and we're getting amazed by people's creativity in terms of, finding ways to say thank you. And that's a really interesting observation, Dan, because when we talk to people, and you would know this because you're great at expressing these kind of feelings, and when we talk to existing members, and we say, so what's the impact of B1G1, right? We used to think that they would say, oh, well, look at our impacts and look at what they actually say, and this is really, really important to get this. What they actually say, and this is going to sound like exaggeration, but it's true. We got it coming out of a word cloud from a survey or study that we did online. And the word that comes out of the word cloud is transformed. And you go, wow. What?
Yeah.
You're saying this transformed your business? That's like, whoa. And then we ask them, so why is that? Why is that? Why would you say that? And what they say is it shifted the spirit of the organization. And the beautiful thing about shifting the spirit is that helps you create that connection. It's just because it shifts where you are, which in a really fascinating way that is, really hard to understand, if you will, just helps that connection do things in a really, or helps you do things in an interesting way because of that added connection that you're not sort of focusing on, but it's just there. It becomes part of who you are.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Come back to your comment, for anyone that's listening that does have kids. I've got 2 kids myself. We're starting out with a lot of our infrastructure, Paul, in that business space for coaches and consultants. But what we plan to do is switch that platform onto more of a character growth, which we could actually reward their growth in different areas and with these impacts. But one of those things that's attached to my children, if anyone wants to test this out, and I'm implementing a thing from a gentleman called Hal Elrod, which is Miracle Mornings. You should definitely reach out to him, Paul, directly at some stage as well. It's got 5 different levels where the kids roll the dice, and they've got service, health, reading, affirmations, meditation. So, it's something I'm implementing again to manage a little bit of the game time with my son that's spending a bit of time. So for anyone that can benefit and maybe think about, I just thought about that with the family side of things, and it's something that we can definitely explore with an introduction I want to provide to visible internet as well, which is helping, it correlates with what I just mentioned, helping curb the influence that the internet's having over children. Paul, so
Dan, that's one of the best stories I've heard all week. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. That's great.
I think for the purpose of this video, we could wrap it up, Paul. That's been really fantastic, mate. I appreciate your time and for providing that overview. And we'll have a link on this page for anyone that can. So to sign up as well, let's just cover off on that, Paul. I mean, for myself, for the company, we're starting out. It's very inexpensive to sign up to the platform and to start making an impact straight away. As Paul said, without having much money, you can have an impact. So you might want to just touch on that quickly, Paul. And I think
sure. We wanted, yeah, you're right. We wanted to make being a part of B1G1 really easy. And when you think about those outcomes, particularly, you know, transforming and meaning and all of those sorts of things, and you think about being able to connect across the entire movement, which is 3,000 plus business owners now, then you can join B1G1 for $1 a day. That's it. We wanted to make it less than a cup of coffee. And I checked Big Mac's, I checked at Mac Cafe a little while ago, and I think it's $3 for a cappuccino there now. So, and the good news is that the larger companies who, you know, who are obviously doing more and stuff like that, then they make it possible for the smaller startups and all that kind of stuff to be a part of this amazing journey, as you were saying, Dan, depending on your size, for like $1 a day. And yeah, it's really, really, really cool. So, and by the way, you just go to b1g1.com/belong. I think that gets you there. And one of the things that we talk about there, and I think, Dan, this is really an important point, that it lets, you know, it's like having this North Star. It lets us be, or lets you be, a part of something bigger. And, you know, one of the things that we've seen through COVID and stuff like that is that connection to something bigger than ourselves is really the kind of stuff that fixes a lot of things on our planet. It really does. And so, Dan, I think it's just awesome that you're a part of it. And I just want to thank you so much for being a part of it, and congratulate you for that. But also thank you so much for having the wisdom to share this kind of stuff with the people that are important to you. Thank you so much.
Likewise, back at you, Paul. Thank you very much. Grateful to be part of it, as I mentioned, and looking forward to having impact. We'll have a link on.
Here's to impact.
Yeah, 100%. So I think for now we'll call it a day, so to speak, and we'll stay on, Paul. But for anyone else, we look forward to seeing what impact that you can have. Please share that with us. Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.